Now coming to the snapshot application discussion. Here I am discussing two things. One is workflow, how before snapshot agent, how SQL Server agent will do. Next I will discuss table design, means the table structure, whatever required to run snapshot agent. This table design will be used by the SQL Server agent. Okay, these two things I will discuss here. Coming to workflow, what are components here? Three components are there. One is publisher, next is distributor, and next is offline server. This one is offline server. You think that we need another component, that is consumer. Now here I am not discussing consumer part. I mostly focus on distribution part. Distribution part means only up to the generation of the data from the publisher, from the article it generate the data. Okay, I am focusing only on that part. In that part also I am focusing only on the SQL Server agent, how SQL Server agent is working. Okay, so this is SQL Server agent. It is triggered by scheduler. Which scheduler? SQL contain one scheduler. This scheduler will check on database contain schedule tables. Based on the schedule table, it identify which job I need to run. So SQL scheduler first check in schedule table, identify which job I need to run. Based on that, job is execution started. Now SQL agent job started by whom? SQL Server agent through the scheduler. Okay, this is the scheduler will call SQL Server agent by seeing the timing from schedule table. Okay, scheduler will identify that I need to run SQL agent after seeing this schedule time table. Then after SQL Server agent it start to check the job, which job I am running. So it identified that I am running the snapshot job. So snapshot job, because SQL Server agent contains the job ID. From the job ID it identifies that I am running the snapshot job. Okay, in order to run that snapshot job, it need to execute that command. Which command? snapshot.exe. After executing this command, it need to send some parameters like who is publisher, who is distributor. If publisher, then connection detail. For distributor, connection detail. Next, where it need to run, either in distributor itself I need to run this, or in some offline server. Okay, these all metadata need to be required by the SQL Server agent in order to execute this snapshot.exe. SQL Server agent will call snapshot.exe, but it needs metadata. So SQL Server agent already contain job ID. Okay, based on job ID, it search the snapshot table, snapshot agent table. Okay, from that snapshot agent table, it retrieve metadata. Metadata is nothing but what are the fields which are required to call snapshot.exe. Okay, after retrieving that metadata, this SQL Server agent call to this snapshot.exe. But before that, it need something like whether I need to execute that snapshot.exe in the current server or offline server. If I need to execute in current server, just it call this command else. If else means it didn't execute in current server, it need to execute in offline server, offload server. The reason why it need to execute in offline server we'll discuss later, related to the performance and load, how much load contained in distribution. We have to avoid the load. So to avoid load, we make this responsibility to generation of the snapshot and file generation, whatever things, processing and compressing, we give this responsibility to the third server, offline server. Okay, there we are not invoking the snapshot. Just if if we need to execute snapshot in third server, means offline server, we just create one job. That job is snapshot job, agent job. This job we are inserting in the offline server, offload server. Okay, in that we are inserting the job as well as job step. Okay, this job step contain metadata to execute that snapshot in the offline server. Okay, in that step only we are giving the job ID details. Main trick here is this offline server will take only the responsibility to execution of the snapshot agent. Then after, all logging details will be available in here only, in distribution only. So whatever steps it is doing by offline server, it is updating those steps, because history is maintaining here only. We are tracking happening here only, distribution only. Just we are giving the responsibility of processing and generation of the data to the offline server. Okay, we are giving only simple responsibility. Like after that, tracking responsibility, logging, tracking, all other responsibility will be available in distribution only for the respective job ID. Okay, this is the workflow. Okay, then after I will go to the table design. So one again quickly revise what is the flow. This is scheduler. It check in the schedule table. From that schedule table, identify which job need to run, then call to the SQL server agent. This server agent having input is job ID. This server agent, SQL agent, will retrieve, identify that this job is snapshot. After identifying that, it retrieve metadata to execute this snapshot exe. So the metadata is present in snapshot agent table. So now we'll go to the snapshot agent table. It contains data related to, first thing is unique identifier of snapshot agent. Next, it contain data related to publisher. So what is the publisher server detail? Server connection, authentication mode, if authentication SQL authentication, then username and password. Okay, these details to be stored in the table. Next, it's storing distribution details. In distribution details, same, what is the server address and which authentication mode, if SQL authentication, password, username and password. Okay, next, who is using this table? It is using by SQL server agent. So for that, it is filtering based on the job ID. So it store execution of details of execution details required for SQL server agent. Number one is job ID for filtration purpose. Next is job step UID. This is the step which need to be invoked by the SQL server agent. By seeing this job step UID, SQL server agent retrieve the data for the respective job step and execute the job step command. In job step UID, job step contain the command to run that to run snapshot agent.exe. This command will be stored in this step. So from the job ID, after identifying the job ID, it need to retrieve the job step. Okay, from the job step UID, it retrieve the command, this command to be executed. And Next is execution present either in local server or offline. Here we contain one field, local job something. If it is 0, that means in the same server, else some other server. These are the configuration which are related to the execution. Now if not local server, that means offline server. Okay, these offline server configuration also stored in here only. Offline server name, address, only it is storing name, but actual details is storing some other table. It is a foreign key. Okay, these are the table designs which are required for SQL server agent table. This SQL server agent table will be used by the SQL snapshot agent table, which is used by the SQL server. First thing it is doing filtering based on the job ID. Next step is executing. Okay, those steps fields which are required job ID and job execution step available in this snapshot agent table. Okay, thanks.